Hi, welcome back to Sodbuster Living, and we are going to share with you the first week wrap-up of middle grade March, mainly because we have a lot of books that we got to get back to the library, and two, if we save this for one video, it would be a ridiculously long video.
Like 2 hours.
So let's just get started. Go ahead, Emily.
Okay, so I read 5 of the libraries. I survived. I read...
Here, go ahead and talk about them and I'll show him.
I read the Tsunami one. That one was really heartbreaking. As well as the Nazi one was really heartbreaking as well.
Can you tell a little bit about I Survived? What is the premise of these?
So, Lauren Tarshish. Oh my god, I want to say Tarshish. Tarshish rewrites these children she writes real life catastrophes that happen, and she puts like these kid characters in them and how they survived and how some of their family didn't and how they kind of their heart
how they survived a traumatic event that killed many people.
Yeah. So
okay, so we had Nazi invasion and the Japanese tsunami of 2011.
that one was scary.
The I Survived the Battle of Gettysburg, 1863.
That one was good.
I Survived the Children's Blizzard of 1888. And I Survived the Attack of the Grizzlies, 1967. This one, I remember you sitting at the table and you opened it up and you were like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I remember you doing that. So all in all, what rating did you give these?
I think I gave them like 3 or 4 stars.
So you liked them.
Yeah. Talk about those. I read Catherine's War, and I thought this one was going to be like a 2-star maybe, like it's okay. The beginning part was kind of boring.
It's a graphic novel.
And it started off her in this one kind of like orphanage type thing where it's based off a true story. So these people who are caring for these children while
oh, it smells good.
World War II is happening.
Yes.
Like with all the Nazis and everything. Yeah, World War II. And how all the children are being sent to this one home.
Severus Children's Home outside Paris.
Yeah. And then when the Nazis or Russians, I think, found out that there was these children, they came back to get them, but they were already heading off to another home. So it kept on going back and forth and back and forth. And then Catherine, I think she went to... She either went back to the... Yeah, she went back to the something home. No. Cut that out. What was it? She went back to...
Just move on.
Anyway, she went to this one boy that I know she liked, and then I think after that she went back to the one home that she was in the beginning. Oh, and in this book, there's a little girl that Catherine kind of like takes care of, and then yeah.
So the life of basically a home during World War II. So that's a different perspective.
And then I have 2 more comic books by Raina Telgemeier, and she wrote the comic version of Babysitter's Club, and I like them. They're okay. I gave these both 1 star. Ghosts was a story about like her ancestors or like her grandma in a ghost version, and then how her sister, she has like a breathing disorder as well of like she can't eat. They have to like hook her up to a specific thing in her stomach so she can eat. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really like that one. And she...
Didn't like the ancestor part of it?
And like the ghosts, how they...
Communicate.
Yeah. And the main character... can't remember her name. She was kind of like mean to this one guy, and she was like, I don't want anything to do with you, and it's like, okay, just try to help, but whatever. And then drama. I like how, the, like, play, for, like, people going to plays or theaters, and I thought it was going to be something like this, and it is. But she likes this one dude
It's a
right
love
here.
triangle type of thing.
And he's gay. And she later finds out that his brother, twin brother, also wants to become gay. And yeah, I didn't like that one at all.
So she's like, yeah, this isn't for me.
So I don't know if I'm going to read any more of Raina Telgemir's books at all. So that's mine. And then I have one DNF. This is How to Speak Dolphin. And I love sea animals. Like, oh my, I love sea animals. But this girl, she has a brother who is autistic, and you know, like when autistic kids are younger, sometimes they'll have like really bad tantrums and throw fits because they're not understanding correctly of what's happening around them. So he has a lot of tantrums and screaming fits. She acts mean about it and tries to hide her brother from people so they don't know that he's autistic and has these screaming fits kind of thing. And as well, she is very mean, sassy to her dad, and back talks to her dad. And so on page 50, I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to finish this book because
The dolphin part of it was her brother calms down every time he
is near a dolphin or sees something dolphin related. And they figured out that he can speak dolphin. He makes this like whistling sound like that dolphins make, and dolphins like come to him, and they also do the one whistle dolphins do, not dolphins. So I didn't really want to finish it, so that was a DNF for me.
Good week.
Yeah, I read all these in 1 week, but a lot of them I read like doubled up. Like I finished this, well,
Didn't finish it. That was a
Didn't finish
DNF.
I did these 3 in one day.
And this was kind of skimming a lot, if I remember correctly. You're just like, yeah, just...
Oh, and I also read another I Survived. This one's my copy, though, so... It was kind of like the Battle of
My
Gettysburg.
copy?
Or our copy, sorry.
Just from a revolutionary point of view.
So I read that one.
Okay, I have... So the first off that I started and finished for middle grade March was Hello Universe by Erin Entrada Kelly. And this one, the Newberry, so it was kind of like a check off my list, and if my understanding of it was, it is about the struggles that deaf kids have and whatnot. Like life struggles, school struggles, and whatnot. This is kind of a 4-part story told from different perspectives of these kids in one day. So our main character, I would call him the main character, Virgil Salinas, thought he was deaf too. I thought he had hearing aids. I think he is just kind of a really shy boy, and he's called Turtle, and he hates that because he won't come out of his shell. So you have that, and you have the girl that he's really interested in, who is deaf and has hearing aids and whatnot. And then you have another perspective of a Corey Tanaka, who tells fortunes and reads the stars and contacts the spirit world. And then you have the perspective of the bully of the whole story. And what happens is there is an incident with the bully, and so the deaf girl and the one that reads the stars basically has to kind of piece together what's going on. It was a lot of like star reading and mysticism and all of that, and that's just not me at all. Even our characters, they weren't really developed well, so I was just like, okay, there we go. And it honestly, the plot of the story wasn't there. really was no plot. It was just their story. So I'm kind of surprised it won the Newbery. I'm really disappointed. But anyway, I would love to know how they choose Newbery winners. I would love to be a part of or understand how they end up choosing, out of all the books printed in that year, how they choose a Newbery winner. So this was like a 2-star read for me. It was kind of disappointing. The next book I ended up reading was, Rivka Sings. I think somebody gave this to me. And this is about a young Muslim girl from Sudan who ends up in England after her father is given a position that basically just helps him move up in life. And so they move from Sudan to England. She ends up going to a Catholic school because it's very well known for its academics and whatnot. And the main part of the story is basically she learns more about Jesus. She's about, or she gets involved in the choir, and then her Muslim father learns and he's outraged. He's like, we're good Muslims and, we're not having a part of this. And then he hears her sing, and you're not to be a part of anything else. You're not to be a part of the chapel. You're not, you can't do the singing. Even after he hears her. You're just going to go to school because it's got really good grades. I actually was really bothered by this book. I can't pinpoint what. It just felt like I think the word is platitude. I don't know if that's the right word, but basically, yeah, I was kind of disappointed in it. So I won't be keeping this one. And it just was like, we need to, it really felt like a shove Jesus down someone's throat kind of story. So anyway, and then at the end, she is carried off by the angels to another realm where she can sing to Jesus to her heart's content. Again, okay, moving on. The other book I read was Lilun, Lilun, A Lad of Courage by Carolyn Treffinger. And this is a Newbery Honor book in the 1970s. No, I'm sorry, 1948. And if you like Call It Courage, I think you'll like this one. So he is terrified of the water. He doesn't want to go fishing with his father. And so his father basically punishes him by giving him 7 grains of rice that he has to plant on top of this rock mountain. And then basically bring back double the crops for Lilun. Lilun has to do, so basically he goes up onto this mountain and lives there until he can, till the harvest time for this grain of rice. And it's just how he has to protect them from the elements, from pests, living on his own, all of this kind of things. It was really interesting. As kind of a survival story. It was really interesting. I gave it 3.54 stars. It's really interesting. I think my husband will enjoy reading this to the children. But if you don't like books where the parents are kind of severe and kind of your classic stories where the parents are just strict and severe, then you may not like this. But yeah, I actually really did like it. I liked just the element of maturing and getting stronger and kind of following not really what your heart's desire is, but he doesn't come down the mountain brave enough to go into the water. He still just has that passion that he wants to be a farmer. And I kind of liked that aspect of it. So that one was a good one after 2 kind of duds for me. And then I picked up one of my favorite middle grade authors, Patricia Riley Giff. I started with Pictures of Hollis Woods. I do have the audio that I picked up from the library, but I didn't actually do the audio because I was so wrapped up in the book. I had started this and I was like, I don't know if I'm really going to like this. Because it's kind of told, you get a little glimpse of where she is today, and then you get a backstory of how she kind of got here. And it was just kind of a disconnect until you realize why you have this buildup of both stories. And then it was really good, and I was crying, and I really liked it. And I think I ended up giving it 4 stars. Or 5 stars. No, I think this one I gave 5 stars. I gave this one 5 stars. I really liked this one. It is kind of a heartbreaking foster kid story. And again, at first, I just wasn't really sure. I honestly was like, I'm going to be disappointed in this book. I think this is going to be the first Patricia Riley gift that I just really didn't find anything in. And then it just impacted me so much, and I loved it. It makes me think of Elizabeth Gale books, if anybody remembers those from my childhood. Those were the ones that kind of came out when I was growing up. Very
I like those books.
Christian foster kid. So they're not like these perfect kids that are just okay, kind of flow with whatever. It reminds me a lot of that. So I really liked that one. I'm trying to think of anything in there that would be objectionable, but I don't remember anything. And then I picked up Willow Run by the same author, but this I didn't realize was like a companion to Lily's Crossing. And Lily's Crossing is basically the story of her friend and kind of how they get to this point in World War II. But Willow Run is about Margaret, who has a brother fighting in the war, and they're waiting for him, and basically her father gets a factory, and so they have to move from the town where she's kind of sheltered her German father into this place in Michigan that's more factory based. So they do a lot of the bombing planes and things like that, and she lives this really shabby apartment complex. The walls are so thin that you can talk to the neighbors, everybody can hear everybody's conversations, and she ends up making a couple of friends there. Some of the boys that basically get into trouble a lot, and then a really good friend of hers. And it's just that kind of story of them. And it's just kind of the story of these kids trying to figure out life during World War II. Some of these places are temporary for them. And it was a really interesting read. It, I think, was like a 3-star for me, or 4-star. Because I did like it. It just wasn't probably up there along with some of my favorite Patricia Riley gifts. So I read that one and really enjoyed it. And so that's all the ones that I finished. And I'm currently going through The Girl Who Drank the Moon. So another Newbery Honor. And honestly, a lot of the recent Newbery Honor books have been really big duds for me. So now I don't have much hope for this one. So honestly, we have kind of gotten off to a rough start. We've had some really good ones, and we've had some really big disappointments. So it'll be interesting to see what the next month or the next week brings, because you're already reading a book that you're like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah. And that one is, it's not in the book here. Page 15. Okay, cool. Broken Strings. And this is about so far it's about a girl who is auditioning for a play, Fiddler on the Roof. And she wants to be the girl...
Hoddle?
Yeah, Hoddle. That's the word. And she doesn't get Hoddle, but she gets Gret.
The mother?
Yeah.
Golda.
And she really wanted to sing the Matchmaker song. And...
Don't we all?
Yeah. She didn't get it, so I'm only on page 15 of this, but it's really, really good.
15, but I said 51.
What?
I thought you said 51.
15.
Oh, well.
So
Okay.
Currently going through that
So
one.
that's going to be the wrap up for our first week in middle grade March. Now we can get some of these books back to the library. And we're going to move on and start another week. And woohoo! So stick with us. Check in next week to see what the next books that we have read. I have a feeling already, like the last couple of days, my reading has slowed down drastically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, four books completed for middle grade March in 1 week. I mean, I'm pretty happy about that. It's not a book a day, but that's okay. We're getting there. And I'm still trying to finish up some books that I had started last month. So, and you still have school. So I think we're doing pretty good. So, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. to the library, walking. It's a beautiful, gorgeous day, 40 degrees, sunshine and happiness, hearts and flowers. We even heard some birds singing. So we're gonna walk to the library, return library books that we have, and that means I need to tell you about this one for the wrap up that we're doing for, what is this, February Historathon thing. And I did Jamie Jo Wright, Echo Among the Stones. I actually don't think this was part of that wrap-up Historathon, but this is part of March, what I read this month. And this is another Jamie Jo Wright that I read. This one, so I really liked this one, but I still think my favorite one was the first one I read. But this is definitely growing on me, and it has all the creepy vibes that Jamie Jo Wright just manages to do without going so much into horror that I can't handle picking it up. So suspense definitely is in there. I guess you could say thriller. This says just romantic suspense, but definitely the romance is in here. Chantal warning you for that one. This book has a murder happen. Her sister is murdered. She walks into it and they can't figure out who did it. Years later, one gal goes back to basically her roots, and her mumsy is in the garden, or her mumsy has called her. Basically, she's broken her hip, she needs healing or needs help, and this girl is just still mourning the loss of her mom and how mumsy wasn't there for her. Fun note, I actually used to call my mom Mumsy, and as I was reading this book, I'm like, is Mumsy gonna be one of those really creepy people that I will no longer be able to call my mom Mumsy or make any reference to this in our past without people thinking I'm some weird psycho person, or she was? So I was getting a little worried about that. But this book has one of the best lines in it ever, and if you have seen my Instagram, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. But seriously, like, I'm not going to ruin anything by reading this to you, but this has one of the best hooker line things ever. Yes, there is a body in the backyard. We need to bury it or something before I'm accused of murder and incarcerated for 100 years to life. Like, that is so brilliant. And it just tells the story of this girl, you know, dual timelines as usual. They're trying to figure out what Mumsy knows, what is going on with this graveyard that she's investigating, why there's graves here that maybe shouldn't be there, she's not sure, and who this one person is. And then back in time, you're learning about this grave and all that it entails. It even includes like this dollhouse with a recreated crime scene in it. So all the spooky vibes again. Really enjoyed it. Definitely a lot more romance here for the present day person. So like I said, Chantal, you won't like it. I didn't mind it so much. I really didn't. I think it was handled pretty well. He is English, and there's like little references that Jamie Jo Wright made throughout the books to different like TV shows and things that just was so funny. Like this was really cool because on Instagram I even highlighted this one section where she said it was a crossover between Mr. Darcy and Doctor Who, and I highlighted that and I put like this caption underneath, like, which one, Jamie Jo Wright? Like, this is important distinctions of which Mr. Darcy you're talking about, because there is a definite difference between the two. And which Doctor Who are you talking about? Fun facts, like, she messaged me back and she's like, I knew that was going to come back to haunt me someday. I knew somebody was going to call me out on that. So those jabs back and forth that you get between the authors are so much fun. And I think that's what makes experiences reading this one, or experiences of reading books like this one, just so much more enriching. So again, lots of fun. I really love Jamie Jo Wright, and my daughter and I have decided that we want her on our shelves because there are just some days when you want the mystery, you want the little bits of humor, and you just want it all wrapped up and enjoy. And yeah, I know what's gonna happen. It's just something different about Jamie Jo Wright, and I can't really describe it. But yeah, definitely one I want to keep on my shelves and rereading. But now we gotta walk to the library, take it back,